seeking funds for the first extension to the planned Milwaukee streetcar line, how GPS tracking could make police chases safer, and new details about the planned Milwaukee Bucks basketball arena. This is Council Rewind, and I'm Dustin Weiss. With work underway on the first spur of the new streetcar line, development of the new basketball arena has prompted city officials to look into expanding the route. The Department of Public Works is seeking $20 million in federal grants to extend the streetcar line along 4th Street from the intermodal train station to the Bucks' new arena. And on May 11th, the Public Works Committee heard an update on the plans.
The extension that we are targeting today is what we call 4th Street extension. And just a bit of detailed description of the project. It's about 70.75 route miles, or in track miles, it's a little bit about 1.2 miles worth. It will consist of 3 stops. 90% of it will be dedicated lane. That means it will not compete with a travel lane. Much of the current route that's already under I guess, for lack of a better term, construction, is a shared lane and with some dedicated lane combination. This specific extension will feature a significant amount of off-wire capability. That means we will not have the overhead contact wires. And the main reason why we're entertaining that is the technology is advancing from year to the next, as well as the known utility relocation that would be required to be done if we are doing a traditional overhead contact wire. So this is, we think this is the right approach, and obviously it will have to be vetted through a little bit, but we believe that's the right approach. With this extension, we will be required to order another vehicle. So in total, once everything is said and done with this extension, we'll have 6 total vehicles. The total anticipated cost of this extension is about $40 million. The ask is 20, and the conversation will be certainly forthcoming in terms of where the $20 million local share would come from.
The 90% off wire, and you indicate that the technology is advancing. Would that be similar for other portions of the previously approved route as well too?
That has been discussed at length. Specific portions of the 2.1 mile and the lakefront loop will have segments of it that will be off-wire. So the vehicles that will be coming to us right off the bat will have the off-wire capabilities. And maybe specific about those, there were 2 known locations now. One is the piece from the 4th and St. Paul going into the OMF, which is the Operation and Maintenance Facility underneath 794. That piece will be off-wire. The reasons for that is that the owner of that parcel and the complexity of having an operation underneath the I-794 will have dictated that.
So will the streetcar vehicles themselves have like a battery cell, or will this be a diesel battery? So
it will be a battery of multiple batteries that are embedded in the system that we can switch it on and off on need basis. As some of you may know, this particular extension was part of a larger route or system that was studied and has gone through a significant amount of processes that received approval by the federal government. So this makes this, in many ways, a shovel-ready. If we are to add an extension that had not gone through these evaluations and these processes, would typically add 1.5 to 2 years worth of evaluation before that's part of the planning. So this extension has received or is part of the local preferred alternative, which again is a key milestone for the process. Certainly had gone through the environmental assessment and the finding of no significant impact. Certainly the geographic location and what that route traverses is key. It connects the intermodal station to the destination for this extension at this point, the Bucks Arena, and everything in between, such as the convention center, 2,500 rooms of hotel rooms. Again, you've been watching the explosion of residential units throughout downtown. In this specific area for West Town, we have documented about 1,200 units since 2010. So, and along the route, you have several major headquarters for major employers. So all this collectively bring lots of logic to having this extension be a choice of the next extension to be considered. We are targeting a couple existing tax incremental finance districts. We're looking at potential new one, and if everything falls in place and we do receive the grant, we will commence the actual design process with the completion of in 2017. Order the 6th vehicle, as I stated before, to be delivered in spring of 29, and our goal is to have this extension operational sometime in maybe midsummer of 2020.
Okay.
Just to briefly give you a quick update on where we are with the current project. We are in the middle of identifying the contractor who is actually going to start building the track system and the overhead contact wire, as well as the operating and maintenance facility. Several utility work has commenced. Some of it has been even completed, such as water main work, some sewer work. Lots of private utilities have taken place already and will continue to do so.
So when will the track laying begin, and where will it begin, and from what point to what point? How long will that period last? And I'm curious as to the impact on local businesses along that stretch, and I'm assuming it will involve elimination of parking, at least for a period of time. Also, is it going to involve replacing sidewalks, all of those kinds of things that certainly can impact these small businesses greatly?
Well, we suspect the work will start sometime late or early fall. It's a little bit premature to tell you to define the actual sequencing, but I can tell you it's very likely we will start on 4th and St. Paul and head west and follow the route. One of the key elements of sitting down with the contractor and
you meant east, I think.
East, I'm sorry, thank you. Tapping into their expertise is how we're going to phase this project in such a way to minimize impact on businesses. And what I mean by that, we have met with about just everybody that we think will be impacting along the route. And part of the reason for that is you sit down with businesses and understand what they do, what their concerns are. You describe the project the best you can. And there are a lot of details or nuances that a business shares with you that you may not be aware of in terms of their busiest time of the year, even their busiest time during the week. And those are the things that we bring back and then incorporate in the scheduling in order to minimize the impact.
And I appreciate we've got the anticipated project schedule up there for the 4th Street extension, and you sound rather confident that we're going to get this application approved.
Well, my fingers are crossed. There's no guarantees, but we have proven that there's political will. We're keeping the momentum.
Sure.
We're here to build the streetcar, and that typically weighs very heavily in the criteria.
So the Common Council is going to have some interesting times coming up if this calendar holds, and because As I'm looking here, summer, fall of 2016, the council considers a local match. And we, I guess, won't know until the fall whether the project has been awarded.
Correct.
So there's going to be some interesting timing or overlap or whatever, so, okay.
A very significant occurrence that has to happen in sometime in the summer and fall, yes.
And we still also have to talk about the annual operating expenses for the first line that we're going to have.
Absolutely.
Right, which is on, not this committee's purview per se, but that's going to be another discussion, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If the federal grant is awarded, DPW says the new route would be operational by 2020. The Milwaukee Police Department is exploring innovative technology that could give new meaning to the phrase, "You can run, but you can't hide." Starchase is a system that fires a GPS tracking device onto the back of a fleeing car, allowing police to catch criminals without risking a high-speed chase. And on May 12th, the Public Safety Committee received an update on its deployment.
The system consists of a launcher, and I'll be able to show you pictures of this of these components. The in-car console, which is fairly simple, a key fob remote, which allows officers to operate the system from outside their vehicles. Very small and effective. The laser targeting system, and the projectiles, which are GPS-equipped tags. I have one here. It's a training round, so feel free to destroy it. It's it's inert. But it's the actual size and weight of a real GPS tag, which would contain a power source and a GPS transmitter. It's actually a very small but impressive piece of technology. The system also includes web-based tracking and mapping, similar to looking at Google Earth on your computer, but you see dots, and one dot's running from the other dot. So it works very simply. How it works is when an officer is behind a car that is fleeing, just fleeing or in the midst of a pursuit, when they can get close enough to deploy, officer launches the GPS projectile. In most cases, it adheres to the back of the vehicle. They will announce Starchase has been deployed. The communication supervisor then will begin looking at the mapping system and giving officers on that channel information as to where the vehicle is going. A key component, a key part of the strategy is officers should fall back and deactivate their lights and siren after deployment. There's some research that I'll show you very briefly that indicates why that's an effective strategy. And there's also no charge for the GPS projectiles. We have unlimited access to projectiles, which cost them $80 a piece. When you take into account manufacturing, that foam is extremely expensive. It's some space-age technology. And also the battery and the GPS transmitter in there, we have unlimited access to projectiles. When we start to run low, we simply give them a call and they send us another shipment. It's extremely beneficial. So I tell the officers, we call it tagging. Just continue to tag out there as long as your stops are legally justified, because it's not costing us anything to use these projectiles, so use them. In our testing, we identified the same limitations that the National Institute of Justice identified. And Starchase is continuously upgrading their equipment. The nose cone, which is that foam at the top capped by adhesive, has undergone some development. It's a lot better now, but it could be even better to adhere to contoured surfaces. It's pretty good now, and they're continuously developing it. They're also continuously developing the adhesive, because right now it just will not stick to a saturated wet car. During the December training, there was mist in the air, and the training was still successful. There was a light film of water on the cars, but the adhesive was still working. But they're still working on that as well.
Let's say I'm in the vehicle that's trying to get away from the police, okay? When there's a successful launch and it hits my vehicle, okay, is there a huge sound? I mean, does the driver or do passengers realize that they've just been tagged or something?
Sometimes they do, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes they do, and it has caused some drivers to stop.
Okay.
Usually in the noise of the pursuit, though, they don't hear it.
Okay.
Our siren is going off, or they get the fight or flight response just as we do as their anxiety rises. So it's called auditory distortion. You don't always hear what's going on,
Okay.
but they do sometimes hear it, and it's caused some drivers to pull over because they've seen the news stories about it.
So when do you anticipate that this pilot project will be completed and we'll have a thorough report and perhaps recommendation from the chief as to whether he feels we need to move forward with this or not?
This summer, everything increases in the summer. The summer will give us a very, very good sample of cases to look at. So I would give it a year. So we'll probably, we constantly assess everything that we do. But by December, which would be a year that these have been deployed, and full deployment actually has not been until this month. So full deployment, we'll have about 6.5 months of data and experience from our officers. We still have to learn, so we'll have a good grasp of what we plan to do by the end of summer and definitely by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. And the cost of this pilot project, the 100,000 plus,
101,000.
was it came from what source?
99% sure it was asset forfeiture.
Okay, is that accurate, Alderman Murphy? Or?
Yeah, my recollection, Mr. Chairman, is, first of all, thank you for scheduling this. I felt Alderman Terry Rakowski and I had asked the chief to consider this technology last year. And surprising to us, he was considering it even before we asked. So it was a great serendipity that we went and pursued this. But we felt that it'd be worthwhile. Car chases, as we all know, and whether it be car thefts or carjackings, has been havoc in not just Milwaukee but throughout the country. And anything we can do to prevent the death of any innocent civilian or a police officer, and also result in the apprehension of these criminals, I think we should explore and consider all technology. To your question, my recollection, it was asked for sure also.
There's different technology out there, and the department does stumble across some good ones. It's worthwhile, if it's going to save lives, reduce crime, increase safety, to take a look at these things. So I commend the department for continuing to look at technology here.
But I am not at all sold on this, most especially with the expenditures that it would entail, installing this in vehicles. But most especially during a period as well where we've got vehicles where the computers aren't working properly, and we have a lot of technology challenges within the department that I think take priority. But having said that, I'm anxious to see the results of the program, and I would also would like some research be done with these other communities to see how effective this has been.
MPD will continue testing Starchase and report back its findings. After months of hype over the new Milwaukee Bucks basketball arena, we're finally getting a look at the specifics of some of the plans for the massive downtown development. On May 17th, the Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee reviewed the first batch of plans for the arena itself, a practice facility, and a parking garage.
Our thinking on the design actually began with an image. We kind of say it began with a ripple. We had a photograph of a water drop falling into water itself and the rippling of that drop in the water. And as we looked at this community and worked with Epstein Ewan, Greg Ewan and his team, and the folks from HNTB here locally, we really tried to dig into what the essence of the community was. And obviously you're known as the Water City. There's no question that the history of this place has been defined by rivers and lakes and the natural features of this area. And then the incredible sort of tradition of immigrant craftsmen that built the place, that built the fabric that you see today. And it's a city of neighborhoods, and we see this as the next great neighborhood in Milwaukee, and land that has been, traditionally and for a long time, mostly vacant. The blue color that you see is representing all the public entrance points into the building. So as I said, the primary entrance is located in the center of the block, effectively the center of the block on the 4th Street side. You'll see any number of arrows there, and Gabe, help me out, 30 number of entrance doors.
20 at the
20 entrance doors at the primary entrance point. You'll see other single arrows to the north and south of that. The one immediately south is into an exterior access into the primary retail store. So this is significant Bucks retail shop. As you go north, there are 2 entrance points, one into the ticket office, which is an internal ticket lobby that connects to the primary entrance lobby. And then the second one is into a secondary entry lobby at the northwest corner of the building. As you continue to go counterclockwise around the building, you'll see another blue arrow, which is a second entrance into that same secondary entrance point. And then rotating all the way around to the northwest corner at Juneau and 6th Street is a secondary entrance point or secondary entrance lobby. This is something that's been developed since the GPD, and I think really important in the sense of providing another public access point, a primary lobby space, and supplementing the overall entrance experience.
You've got on the rendering, I know it's just representation, it's not the art yet, but it's just the northwest corner of that concrete wall. Are you committing, how much of that concrete wall are you committing to having art in front of?
So, Brad, I'll answer that. Yeah. I think that's kind of arbitrary on like how we go through the process and the art that we see. I think we're dedicating a substantial amount of capital and a substantial amount of thought to it, but I don't think at this time we can dedicate like a specific foot distance in between, but we think this is going to be one of the landmarks where we're going to drive people to take their picture next to, much like the Wrigley sign, much like the Jordan statue at the United Center.
And that's on the north wall, the Juneau wall. What about, and obviously the east wall is that's your main entrance, that's a very glassy atrium. Mm-hmm. Then the west wall is the loading dock area, which would not be a great potential for art probably because you got trucks coming and going. But what about this, or if I'm wrong, and then the south wall too is pretty concrete, right?
Yeah, the south wall actually houses like all the administrative offices during like a long span of it to the east. So you've got admin offices, some space, and then you have the loading docks. So that kind of fills up the south facade.
So you're pretty much committing to art an unspecified size, which obviously if you haven't designed the art yet, you don't know how big it's going to be, but you're willing to commit that it won't, on the north side, I'm not just going to see a long concrete wall for the first 12 feet of the building.
We're willing to commit to that.
The transparency of the facade is apparent on this side. We've really endeavored to open this building up as much as possible to the city. One of the things about the Bradley Center is that you have the entrance atriums on each side, but as it relates to the actual seating bowl within, it's a pretty insular kind of experience. So one of the things that you'll see in this building when it's constructed is concourses that are substantially open, connect fans to the events. And in the case of the east facade, we have all 6 levels of the space within that open into that atrium and have views out to the city to the east and also to the south with panoramic views and curtain wall glass. So the glass itself is expressed in a couple of different systems. Everything kind of at ground level on this side is a vertical mullion pattern, so the glass lights read vertically. We talked about the punctuations of entrance points along there at the 2 different lobby areas as well as the team store, and each of those are defined by a kind of a surround area that gives it a canopy piece and a sidewall as well. Really the large accent on this side, besides the big statement of the roof, is the extension of a exterior balcony and framing device that defines what we're calling the Panorama Club today. So this is an elevated area that sits, it's a level that sits above the upper seating deck, and it's a general fan club. It's also a very flexible space within, so this is something that with movable furniture can be used for speaking engagements, Christmas parties, all kinds of different events that will help activate this building.
So the new Bucks training facility just represents a significant first start in private development for the area, and it also represents the Bucks' commitment to bring their team down here. This will be an NBA practice facility that will set the new bar and be really state of the art for the players, coaches, and staff. And so this is the rendering depicting the view that would be from the arena block looking back at the facility, and it's designed in a planar form to really complement the arena in terms of its materiality, but not compete with the arena. You will note that we do have solar panels on this roof. We have about 10,000 or about 17,000 square feet of photovoltaic panels, and those will generate about 100 kilowatts of power, which represents about 13 to 15% of the power to really energize the entire building.
The overall site, we have the parking garage, again, between Juneau, McKinley, and 5th. We have mixed-use spaces on the north and south side, approximately 100 parking stalls on the ground floor, along with utility, mechanical, et such areas on the ground floor. The west area is phase 2 of the project. The garage is phase 1. The west area is residential. It will be developed at a later date. You enter the ground floor parking on the northeast side of the site. You enter the main part of the parking garage in the middle of the site on 5th Street. And then the ramp leads up to the second floor. And that's where the main entry-exit plazas are. We have parking on the second floor. And then again, at the north end of the building is the express ramp. The layout here, and this is the 3rd floor, and 4th, 5th, and 6th are Seminole. The floors are essentially flat, with the ramping happening at the far north end. The idea behind this is it allows very quick access, traveling up and down, and minimizes vehicles in the areas where the cars are. So the parking garage is mainly designed for event parking, to be able to get in quickly, find a spot, and get out again very quickly. It holds approximately 1,243 stalls, and that's the general picture and the functional aspect, and I'm going to pass it along to Jim now.
Mr. Chairman, let me just see if there's any questions by committee at this time here. And Alderman Kovac, go ahead.
He said one thing at the introduction, which I really didn't like, and Bucks probably know what it was. He said the west area will be developed at a later date. It's my understanding the goal of this project is to develop the apartments on the west wall simultaneous to the parking garage construction.
Well, we would love to. It's just not part of this approval for the detailed plan as part of it. So I think I think you can tell by our actions and our finalists and kind of where we've gone in the process for apartments that we're way down the road on this, but this is for the final approval of the parking structure.
And you're in an active RFQ process right now. If the design comes forward and you have an active, you will try to roll it out as quickly coinciding.
Obviously, for efficiency, for financial, for construction reasons, we'd love to do this simultaneously, and we think we can get there.
Okay, Alderman, does that answer that?
Yeah, well, I'm actually glad this is split into 3 parts because I can't support this I can't support planting grass next to a 60-foot high wall as a design we would approve. I mean, it's got to have apartments simultaneous. It's the only thing I'd be willing to approve.
The council signed off on this first set of plans, but more approvals will be needed before a summer groundbreaking. And that's a look back at some of the important issues from the most recent Common Council cycle. For the City Channel and Council Rewind, I'm Dustin Weiss.